hold 13 years of industry experience. Mr. Tane Mishra is presently working as corporate trainer since last 7 years. He is associated with companies like TCS, HCL Technologies and Tech Mahindra. Today he is going to address on Android. I welcome him to take the stage.
Yeah, good morning. You are all MCA final year or fifth semester, fourth semester? MCA 3 and 5. Okay, fine. You have a knowledge of Java? How many person know Java? Just raise hand. Core Java. I'm asking only core Java. Fine. A reason why I'm asking, because Android is totally based on Java. Fine. That's why I'm asking. If you know the Java, so you can easily understand what is Android and how it's work. Okay. You know what is Android? It's operating system. That's it. If I'm saying it's associated with Java, it's like a Java. So it's also be a development environment. It's not only operating system. Operating system, how you can define the operating system? In operating system, we are not able to program that. But in case of Android, it's an operating system as well as it's a development environment. Fine. So first of all, Android operating system. Then how we can develop inside the Android operating system, how we can use Android, how can configure, and what's the benefit for using Android. Basically, Android is a product of Google. Fine. It's open source and it's based on Linux kernel. Why it's based on Linux kernel, not on some other like Windows, Macintosh or some other way? Unix is also open source. Macintosh is also open source. Except Windows, all of maximum operating system are open source. Yes. I think you already know Linux, what is Linux, what's the benefit of the Linux. Yes, tell me. Linux. Okay, you know Java, fine. But most of them are using Java on Windows platform, I think. Yes. Bolo, yes or no? Then what's the drawback of the Java on Windows and what's the benefit of using Java inside Linux? Most of the industry are using Java on Linux, not on Windows. Most of them, you can say 90% industry are using Linux as an environment where we can develop application on a Java. A reason why Linux kernel for the Android is Linux is safe, Linux is open source, Linux is secure. And most of them, whenever we are choosing any application or any software for the development environment or for the using anywhere, so first and foremost thing is how it's a secure or not. Now these days anyone can pick there are so many things in a market for the software development, but mostly a person are choosing, a company are choosing, corporates are choosing things which are secure. And Linux is secure. Linux cannot infected by the virus. Is it true? Yes. How many versions of the Linux? Boss, you are in a master. How many versions of the Linux? I'm asking, how many versions and how many versions of the window. Currently you are using Windows 7. It's a fifth generation. It's a fifth generation of the window application. But window only changed the GUI, not the architecture. If you know 3.1 of the version window, then you are easily able to use Windows 7. A reason, most of the architecture are the same. But in case of Linux, Linux have a more than 1000 versions. A reason, it's open source, anyone can easily download that and change inside the kernel and just release a new version. So most of the Linux architecture are different. 1000 Linux means 1000 architecture. If anyone can develop the virus for the Linux, it means they must be developed for the all Linux version. Otherwise what happen? If you are developing any virus for the Red Hat 4.0, then it's only in fact a file a Red Hat 4.0, not 5.0 or not 3.0. Even it cannot be infected on Ubuntu or Mandrake or anywhere. A reason, each and every Linux have a different architecture. That's why Google Android choose kernel. For Android, Google choose kernel as a Linux kernel. Not only that, in Linux, most of the device driver are inbuilt. What happen in case of Windows, whenever we are loading any, we are attaching any device, like suppose you are attaching cordless mouse. So what happen? You must be load, before you using that, you must be load that, the driver of that. But what happen in case of Linux? It's automatically detect. There is no need to load any extra device. And one of more things, whenever we are loading anything inside the window, then you must be restart that. And in case of Linux, there is no need to restart Linux till 8 years. It's continuously work till 8 years. A maximum, most of the servers are running inside Linux environment. Fine. So there are so many features of the Linux, that's why Google choose Android as a Linux kernel. First of all, Android is what? Android work only inside mobile. It's not work on desktop, it's not work on any laptop or anywhere. It's only for the mobile application. Fine. It's called mobile computing. Android is a part of the build a better phone process. Fine. Open Handset Alliance. Basically, whenever we are developing any kind of software in a market, then it must be a one organization then that basically govern how we can develop inside that, what's the benefit for that thing, and how we can improve the any product. So one just group, that's name is Open Alliance, and all the company, all the manufacturer, all the users first becomes the member of Open Alliance, Open Handset Alliance, and then they are able to use Android as a product. Fine. Basically, it's a compromise. Handset manufacturers, software firms, mobile operators, and other manufacturers and funding company. It's fine. Now, Android is growing. Now these days, a total in 100%, 26% company are using Android as a mobile operating system. A reason, if I'm using some other one, so there is no any operating system in a mobile computing that's free except Android. Nokia, most of them are using Nokia phones. Which operating system Nokia use? And that's why Nokia market are down this year. A reason, price constant. But if a company are using Android, then automatically the handset price is down. A reason, they are not paying amount for the OS. Fine. Now, you already know how the Java program are written, most of them. Yes. So Android program are also like that. Same like Java. In case of Android, what we do, basically we write the program in a Java. It's compiled by the compiler, convert it into develop bytecode, not Java bytecode. Fine? Android program are compiled by the compiler, convert it into develop bytecode, and that develop bytecode again loaded in develop virtual machine, not Java virtual machine. What's the difference between Java virtual machine and develop virtual machine? Basically, what happened in case of Java virtual machine, whenever we are running any application in a Java virtual machine, so what happened? Yes. Sabne kaha tha, I know the Java. How the Java program are compiled and run? Anyone? Yes. Java program कैसे compile होता है और run होता है? I'm not asking Java C and Java. It's not the answer of MCA. It's not the answer of MCA. It's the answer of 5th or 6th class students. So commands, कोई भी बुक उठा के पढ़ ले कमांड उसको मालूम हो जाएगा हाउ द प्रोग्राम आर कंपाइल एंड हाउ द प्रोग्राम आर रन. बट इंटरनली हाउ द प्रोग्राम आर कंपाइल एंड रन, आई एम आस्किंग दैट थिंग. Because if you know the things, then you can easily manage the program. Otherwise, what happen? You are just like a person who are not educated. That's why I'm saying it's a very much necessary that whenever you are programming, whenever you are doing any development kind of thing, then you must be know each and every part of the development. No. Java is platform independent. Java is a hardware independent. Platform independent, you know. But hardware independent, nobody else. How the hardware independent? It's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It's a totally different thing. Hardware and software platform, both are the different thing. Platform is operating system. Hardware is your CPU. P3, P4, i3, i7, i5. No, both. Java is platform independent as well as hardware independent, both. Anyone heard the name JIT? JIT. What's the role of that? Why? Why it's compiled at the time of execution? Native code is what? Yes, that's why I'm saying. जानते सब हो, but we are not कि how we can explain that thing. Fine. So basically, I'm not enter in a Java litigation because I have a time constraints, a maximum 1 or 1.5 hour. So first of all, I'm just explain, but you must be learn कि how the Java program compile and run. So it's a totally depend on. It's just like a Android. How the Android are compile and run. Basically, what happen in case of Java, whenever we can compile the Java program, it's convert into the bytecode. That bytecode are loaded by the loader. Then it's verified by the bytecode verifier. Bytecode verifier transferred to security code. Security manager transferred to JIT. JIT convert it into native code, and that native code load into the JVM, and then it's run. That's the whole process. But what happen whenever we can run more than one application at a time in a same JVM, it's not possible. Always a separate JVM used for the running a separate kind of the application. If I am loading a more than one JVM, it means they are occupying more space. Fine. So it's not the drawback. It's a way of the Java programming running. So Android changed that way. And it say only one develop Java virtual machine is able to run all the Android application. So what happened? Why it changed? Mobile RAM, or you can say mobile memory, are very less. Not like laptop, not like your desktop. It's a limited space and you want to be run most of the application in same space. If I'm using a separate memory space, so what happen? At any level, your handset are going to be a hang, like Windows Mobile. Most of them, I think, you must be use or see the mobile Windows operating system base. Yes, किसी ने देखा है? Windows based mobile, STC. So what happened in that? It may be after some time it be hang. A reason, a same memory stack overflow. Fine. STC is the first company that developed Android based mobile, in a 2009. STC is the first company that developed Android based mobile in 2009 on based on Android. Fine. So Android is a totally a different kind of operating system. In Android development environment, what we do, we can run application, but in one JVM, in one Devlik virtual machine, we are able to run more than one application at a time. So fine, so that your mobile are not going to be a hang. Android is totally basically what happened in Android. Like suppose some other operating system or some other development environment are able to do a development in only one direction. But in case of Android can develop application in all manner of the software development. Like suppose in iPhone use some other kind of the operating system and development environment. But in that you are not able to explore your net. Same like Windows. You are able to explore the net, but it's a different kind of the technology are running inside that. And your view are totally changed. Each and everything are changed. But in case of Android, what happens? Whenever we are accessing any application on Google or anything, it's just look like your normal Google, not a different. Fine. If someone are saying, iPhone, internet, Google are same like a normal Google, so you can just see in a deep manner and then you can describe how it's a differ from a normal Google. In a Google, you have a text box where you can type the things and you can just see CAPTCHA is there and you can select anything, right? But in case of iPhone, it's not possible. That's why I'm saying it's a little bit different. Fine. But in case of Android is able to do all the programming like window programming, all the desktop application, each and everything. Fine. In iPhone, there is no any database accessing facilities there. But if you are using Android, so you are easily store your data inside phone by using SQLite. Not Oracle, not SQL, a new kind of database which are developed by the Google, that is called SQLite, and we are easily able to store the data inside that. Right? Now, how the Android program are written and compile and run. Write application in a Java, compile in a Java, transform to Devlik bytecode, and then that Devlik bytecode loaded into Devlik virtual machine, and that virtual machine are associated with Linux OS. Fine. It's not mandatory that you must have a Linux operating system in your system. You can easily develop all the application in Windows, but it's huge Linux kernel. Fine. And that's the way how we can write the program and compile and run in case of Android. Fine. Runtime is optimized for the mobile application. How it's optimized? Run multiple VM efficiently. Each application has its own VM. Minimum memory. I'm saying that only one VM are able to run more than one application at a time. But in case of I'm just writing here, each application has its own VM. How? It's a contradictory word. A reason what happen whenever you are open any application. So it's create just image of the VM. You know thread? Thread is what? Lightweight process. It's create image of the, it's use only one memory space and it can be created image of that. Same like that. Fine. Same story of the thread we are using in case of Devlik VM. It's only one VM is there, and in case of one VM, what happen? It can be just created image of that and load application inside that. So what happen? Each is yes. I'm not saying it's just like a thread. I'm saying it's a story of the thread. It's create image of the VM. Fine. It's a very lightweighted memory. It's not used like Notepad. Whenever you are opening Notepad, so what happen? Notepad use a minimum 10 KB of the space at a time. Whenever you are opening more than one Notepad, so again it's use a 10 KB of the space. But in case of VM, Devlik VM, whenever you are opening first time, it's use 256K of the memory, but next time only 2 or 3 KB of the memory. Not all memory. Only for the mapping. Fine. Now, how the architecture of the Android? It's a visible. ये कुछ हो सकता है यहाँ से? Basically, your Android have 4 types of the component. First component, or you can say lower part of the component, is Linux kernel. Linux kernel have all the drivers, all type of the drivers are inside Linux kernel, like display driver, camera driver, flash memory, binder, keypad, Wi-Fi, audio, power management, all the drivers and management part inside the kernel of the Linux. Fine. And just upper the Linux kernel, your all the library of the Android is there. Whenever we are going to be a program, we are accessing library from the library section, and that library is not only for, it's just like a Java library. In a Java we are saying that is package, basically it's a package, but here we are saying library. Fine. And it's a 2 kind of the library. One is basically for the Android runtime, and first one is for the development. Fine. What happen in that? Whenever we are developing any program, we are accessing library from the library, but at the time of run, what happen? It's just transfer all the core library into Devlik VM. Devlik VM is also be some collection of the library. It's just like a Java virtual machine. In a Java virtual machine, what happen? All the byte code have what? It's supplied by the Sun. Earlier it's supplied by Sun. Now it's a Oracle. Fine. So Oracle supplied byte code. Fine. Same like that, Android runtime is also be a Android supplied byte code, and it's a library is what? It's a whole all kind of the packages is there. Whenever we are developing, we are accessing library from the library, core library. Now application framework. Application framework is what? All the management part of the program, like activity manager, window manager, content management, view management, package management, telephone management, resource management, location management, and notification management. Notification management is what? Whenever SMS comes, you must have a notification. Whenever you fix the alarm, so you must be notified that all the things how we can manage through the notification management. Like location management, most of them are using mobile now these days for the finding the location, GPS. Fine. And that is basically it's an application framework, and it comes under the location manager, resource manager, telephone manager. There are so many things, there are so many management, and all are the part of the application framework. And at the upper level, that is application, basically how we can access all the facility of the Android. Through the application we can access all the facility. Fine. So basically it's Android have a four you can say Android are divided into four sections, and a first section is a Linux kernel, second is a library, third is a application framework, and fourth one is a application. Now whenever you can develop any application, you must be want to how it's run inside the mobile. It's not possible कि everyone have a